This podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Thunderking Coffee. My boy Dean Tompkins is down there in Costa Mesa air roasting some of the most delicious coffee beans. Listen, I'm kind of a coffee nerd. I spend a lot of time putting together our whole system with the Chemex and the slow drip, and it's a lot of work in the morning. So I make sure that the coffee that I'm drinking is actually really good. I've tasted a lot of them from all over the place. And I have to say that Thunderking Coffee makes the best. My favorite one is the positive morning attitude. I go through 2-pound bags like it's nothing. Check them out. Go to thunderkingcoffee.com and pick some up today. And finally, the podcast is brought to you by our longest supporter, Saints Joints. My buddy Lawrence is out there in Washington producing some of the best top quality pre-rolled joints in the market. The packaging is incredible. Every single person I show them, the little packs, they have a little slide out where you have the 5 joints that are pre-rolled inside. The boxes have this incredible artwork on them featuring artists such as Skinner. Every time I go out, people ask me to give them a pack. And thankfully, Saints Joints keeps me supplied. So check them out. Go to saintsjoints.com. Support independent businesses. In this episode, I talked to Katerina of the band Escuela Grind. Their newest album, Memory Theater, is out now. Please go pick that up and check it out if you like heavy music. We talked about the album. We talked about the grindcore scene. We talked about the growth of the band, how they went from DIY shows to where they are now, going on tour with Napalm Death in Europe. We talked about potential new music. They have 2 EPs coming. We talked about tour dreams and fantasy booking. We talked a little bit about technology and AI art. It was a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to follow the band at Escuela Grind on all the things. You can follow Katerina at XSatanX on Instagram. Make sure you're following us at RRBG Podcast. Leave little comments, interact with the show. That way we can get through the algorithm and get the show to more people. If you're watching this on YouTube, click like, hit the little thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications so you can get notifications when we put new episodes out. And check out our Patreon page if you want to support the show. Patreon.com/RRBG. Cheers. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. Today I'm being joined by Katerina Economou. Economou?
Awesome.
Close?
Economou. Yeah.
Economou. From the band Escuela Grind. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Sorry it took like 7 tries and I had to delay. It's been a day. We're not used to rain here in Los Angeles.
Hey.
I know you are out there in the Massachusetts. Is that where you're living?
Yeah, we live in Western Massachusetts, and it's a little town called Pittsfield where we live at.
Pittsfield.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds metal. so there's a lot of moshing going on in Pittsfield.
Hey. I mean, sometimes, occasionally, it used to be. But yeah. Do
you guys still play locally, like in the neighborhood, or no?
Funny enough, our last show, which was on Friday, that was like our local show, quote unquote. It was in Albany, New York, which is like an hour away. Okay. Pretty much. We play like within the hour radius, once every 6 months sort of thing.
Do you do a lot of like, I feel like there was a lot of house parties on the way up for you guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we still do DIY shows and stuff. And if the venue makes sense, we'll fucking play it, Yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
As long as they're speakers, I mean, that's all you really need.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Katerina, let me ask you. I'm saying it very Latino. Katerina, is it a Latino, or where are you from?
No, my name is, I'm half Greek and half Portuguese. So my name, it's like fully Greek. It's Katerina is like one of the most common names ever over there. Like everyone has my name.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. I also read that you are a architect by trade.
Yeah, so I'm an architect in the state of Massachusetts.
What are you doing the grind? Why are you grinding? You got a career in all this.
Yeah, right. I was doing both for a while, which was super difficult. I mean, I was working like we did a month-long tour well, not last year, but the year before, so 2021, and it was a month of just 9 to 5 on the laptop in the car, and then like setting up the merch, playing the show, selling the merch, starting it all over again, sort of thing. That was almost too much. It was really difficult, but we made it through, and the band's at a point to where we do this now. This is all our jobs now. So
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
How many years of paying dues? Because I mean, that's what you just described as paying your dues. So how long?
Oh, shit, yeah. So we started the band in Ithaca, New York in like 2016. It was sometime in that year. It was like more of a fastcore thing. We were a 3-piece. That was one incarnation of the band, Escuela. And then we moved out here to Western Mass in the middle of 2018. And like now we have a different guitar player and we have a bass player now. So that version of the band, 2018 now, is more Escuela Grind. It's definitely more influences are put in the music at this point now, and we have a direction.
Yeah, and it's a unique direction too, because I mean, usually grindcore or grind style, you hear the name and you think grindcore, and those songs are like a minute, and there's it's just like a fast blast of music, and then that's it. But the newest album has a little bit more different elements, I would say.
Yeah, for sure, that was intentional. I mean, when we started out, and a lot of the songs off our first LP were really fast.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do in such a short time with conceptually, I guess you could say, lyrically, all sorts of stuff. So we decided to flesh out the songs more and create these compositions that we like really tried to focus on how people would move to the music on our newer record that you brought up, because we wrote it in quarantine. So there was no shows. So like we were just constantly thinking about shows, I guess. So that's what intention was.
I would say so.
We still love that fast shit too. Don't get me like, we love short as hell songs. Not saying this was a contribution to why we are writing longer songs, but like to get a short song on Spotify or whatever you're using, like it's so difficult. I had to, like in the early days, post the EPs and stuff, and we were using DistroKid. I would send them through DistroKid, get them on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff, and they would deny it. They kept denying it, and it was really condescending, I feel, but like the reason for denying it was like, this song is under a minute and therefore it is a snippet and not a song. Like, snippet. Like it was bizarre. And I guess why they do that, because like if it's under a minute, it doesn't count as a stream or something. So I guess you don't even get any streaming money for that or something. I don't know what the real truth of it is behind that, but yeah, that was really frustrating, having to send a million emails and convince people short songs were actually songs.
Wow, that's a struggle I never even considered. That's amazing. Yeah. Like it's just, that's so, well, there you go. Now you have the name for a new EP later. You call it Snippets or something.
Yeah. The collection of snippets.
Collection of snippets. Yeah. That's crazy though. Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, it's not like people make money on Spotify anyway with normal length songs. Like you're still getting paid nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely surprising when you see the amount of streams and then you see it all calculated up. But anything we make off streaming is cool with me. I'm super grateful for it. Especially like, I don't know, I try not be gatekeepy in any way, and like you can say what you want about Spotify playlists and whatnot, but there are a lot of people discovering metal from the metal workout pod, like metal workout extreme playlist or whatever, stuff like that. So like if it works, it works, I guess.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I'm on both sides of the fence on it, because I get it. I get that artists are not really making that much money, but this show is on Spotify, and it does help. It does help people that, they're just looking for something new. They just throw on that thing while they're working on something or in the gym or whatever, and they hear new music, and they're like, what the fuck is that? And, and what's good is that they provide a lot of stuff too. So if there's video, they'll put the video, and there's like links to tour dates and whatnot. So I appreciate what they do. I just wish they would pay people a little more. just trying to make a career out of it,
Yeah.
Well, like you, so tell me a little bit for bands that are trying, that are in your genre or multiple genres, because you guys have now, I think, expanded past one genre. But everyone that's DIY and trying to come up, there's always like a ceiling, and it seems like you've gotten past that. You're now able to stop working your day job. So what was it that made that difference for you? Was it a label? Was it, the touring started making more sense? Like how did that work out for you?
So it's hard to pinpoint exactly one thing. I think it's just a culmination of our mindset and a bunch of different things that we've done over the years that have slowly added up to working out, let's say. So, I mean, a label is a big part of it. The label helped us greatly in marketing our album and getting it out there and doing more with it. Of course, everyone, you can do it yourself always. We put out our own records before, and we put out our record alongside other indie labels before as well, too. And it just gets to a point, though, sometimes where it's the term opportunity cost. Like, your time is better spent doing other creative things than like making a Photoshop to promote your new album or something. Like, if anyone can help you in that way, it'll take the burden off you to do more. And that was a hurdle that I had to get over. And us as a band, we had to have some help along with that. And so the labels along the years have helped us with that. So that is a huge part of it. And I have to acknowledge Monarch, who's our label now, MNRK. They're awesome. Monarch Heavy. We got a lot of cool label mates. So
they've taken a lot of my money with records. They put out great. I like the variants that they put out for records too. They look great,
Sure.
And they actually arrive good, because during the pandemic, I got a bunch of terrible flubbed vinyls from big bands too. Like, I bought a Converge vinyl, and it came like,
oh no, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Awful. And I love them. I'm not mad at them. It's just like, I get it, but still, like, QA over at the label, at the plant or whatever, just somebody. Just take a moment and go, no, that doesn't look anything like the picture. We should probably not send that out.
God, yeah. I definitely, we've had a lot of fun misprints along the years, and, splits that have been printed on both sides, sort of stuff. So, like, that's inescapable. Even from you doing it yourself to a big labels will make mistakes too. But I guess, returning to your original question, our mindset has always been very ambitious as a band, maybe, and we have a lot of goals. They're not specific enough goals to where we're immalleable. Like, we go with the flow and try to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us at the moment, and like, now we're just starting to plan like a year out, so like you get to a point, things are like month at a time, and then you can, I got my whole year planned out for me this year. So that's really great. But gosh, I wish I could give. Oh, so much touring. Touring is so important, especially for what we do. It's the best way to get your name out there, really, especially if you have a live act that is intense or very chaotic, if you will, and it doesn't always come through on the record what it's like to see you live. So that was the key for us always. We hit the ground running really when we started the band, and we did as much as we could. Back then we were booking shows, not so much now. It's just not enough time for it, and we're in kind of an isolated place, so it is a little difficult. But like, I think that starting our band in Ithaca, New York, which is a small city, a small college town, and moving out here to Pittsfield, which is even a smaller town, where you have to drive to go to shows pretty much at least an hour.
Wow. Sheesh.
If it can inspire anyone, it doesn't matter where you are, like you can hit the ground running too. And if you have the means, you can get out there and play shows and do something, even if there's no local scene where you're at. So it helps a lot to have a great local scene, so that you can create sort of a buzz behind yourself when you're new, if you have friends and whatnot that are throwing down really hard for your show and putting you on. But, you know, in this day and age, there's so many ways for us to break out and get out there. So, yeah.
Well, you're doing it right. Because, I mean, honestly, like, and I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm not trying to paint myself in any kind of picture or anything. It's just I get a lot of emails about music, and you know, it's just labels and PR people. I get like hundreds of emails a day, and it's hard to keep track of all of them. But your name keeps popping up. The band keeps popping up. I keep seeing it on social media. I'm like, they're doing it right. Whatever they're doing it right. You know.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's coming through. And, you know, I wanted to ask you if you don't mind, you know, maybe going a little deep, but
Sure.
As you mentioned, the show is very intense, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Because you seem very nice and like, you seem calm, and you seem, you know, you said you went to school, you were, you know, graduated architect, all that. So it seems like, you know, pretty decent up to this point. It wasn't like you were in the like streets, you know. So where does the aggression, where does this violence and this, where is this coming from you?
Yeah, I feel we all come from different. So my answer is very different from our drummer or guitar or bass players. Just for me personally, oh gosh, I was always involved in music, albeit we had a small scene. I loved hardcore. Grew up in Massachusetts, so hardcore was my entry point into all of this. Wanted to be in a band, but honestly never felt like anyone would take me seriously. 31, so at the time in the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of bands that were, you know, had queer people or had people that looked like me, or, you know, so it didn't seem like it was attainable for me. So that really makes me want to push more, even still today, to do what I can to prove to myself, at least, that I can do it and that it is possible. And every milestone is like amazing feeling. It makes me want to keep going. So I guess the aggression itself comes from a lot of just personal experiences, those years of feeling like you're not worth it, or you're not fit for this, or being an outsider or a bystander. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And just, I guess, in speaking about the live show itself, I was talking about this with some of the people we were touring with just this month. But it's like I've taken all the stage fright that I had, because it was, especially when we were starting out, it was really difficult to get over that stage fright. Sorry, one second.
Yeah, no worries.
Really difficult to get over the stage fright. So I would literally have to like sit in front of a mirror and be like, "You're awesome. You can do this. Like, you're cooler than David Bowie. Like, you can do, like, stupid stuff like that just to gas me up."
Yeah.
And so after that sort of novelty wore off, I adopted this mindset of taking the stage fright and turning that anxiety into like the adrenaline from it, and turning it into like this very chaotic performance, like fight or flight mode, almost. Like I'm moving around constantly. I'm taking all that and I'm just putting it into motion. And like, yeah, maybe it affects how you can scream because you're exhausted after 25 minutes of cardio, but like it definitely helps convey the aggression that I feel in a different way than singing the words, because not everyone can understand you. So.
Oh, for sure. And it adds so much to the actual show, the presentation, when you see that coming out of the front, like it's just, I can, what's the word? I can associate myself with it because I was in a band for a while and I did the front man thing and it was very intense, live shows. And yeah, you end up throwing up. You end up just completely gassed or something. And, but I think that even that adds to the show. Like, even if you gas out and you pass out on the stage, like people, yeah, you know what I mean? It's more, it's more of it. Yeah. So
now, especially with grindcore, people love that shit.
yeah, of course.
They don't see me throw up.
Were parents in the picture? Were they supportive if they were in the picture at all?
I mean, they've always been a part of my life. I'm an only child, so I don't really have a. They're always going to be there. No, I'm just kidding. They're not musical people. They don't like this music at all. They don't get it. Even still, they appreciate that we've gotten to a point that I can do this full time and that my year is booked with shows and they're starting to come around to that in their ways, but they don't get it, but they're cool.
Yeah, as long as they're cool with it, that's all that matters, I spent most of my band days not supported by family or anything like that, so they were like, nope, you're ruining your life, you should go to school. But here's the thing, yeah, totally. You went to school. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now I get to hit them with that because I always wanted to be in a band and whatnot, or be a visual artist. So I went to art school first and such, and so they were always like, well, you can do the band or do music or art after you go to school and have a career, and then you can do it in your spare time. And so I did that, and then it got too much, and now I do this, and so I can hit them with that. You told me I could do that, so I did that.
Yeah, and it's working out. I mean,
it's very. I think my situation is very rare and very privileged, so I have to acknowledge that it is. Not saying I didn't work hard or anything. I worked a lot and had a lot of jobs along the way and had a lot of hair pulling moments. But to be in a position where we can do this now, with the history of the band and whatnot, is just I'm so grateful. So.
What's the worst job you ever had?
Oh God. I'm a service industry person. Had a lot of shitty service industry jobs, especially in my early, when I was 19, 20, 21. I lived in Texas and Dallas for a while, and I had a string of serving jobs. Oof. And I loved those jobs, and I did bottle service and stuff. We made a lot of money, but looking back on it now, it's just holy shit, how did I work in that environment? Just getting wasted all the time. Being forced to drink at work is special, especially when you're not 21. That was that was a different 21. Time. Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, just dealing with the customers and stuff. That.
I tell people all the time, you need some service industry experience because
sure.
You need to get humbled quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you hear and see some of the craziest shit doing those jobs, and I don't know. At the time, I guess it was Stockholm syndrome. I was like, "Oh, I love this. I could do this forever." But no. I'm so glad I'm out of that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because there's a lot of people, a lot of drunk people you got to deal with, and then also, like you said, you're drinking on the job, and it's tough to keep your health, especially as you get older.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So tell me for the band. I mean, obviously this album came out. I'm trying to find the date here. When did the newest one come out? Memory Theater?
September 30th. Yeah, September 30th, 2022.
So you have a whole year of touring. Are you going out of the country?
Yeah, we are actually going out February 7th to March. Excuse me, it's February 9th is the first show to March 12th. And that is a tour in Europe and the UK with Napalm Death, Drop Dead, and other band Siberian Meat Grinder, who is cool.
Wow. Touring oh man, that tour with Napalm Death is going to be so sick.
Yeah, we're so excited the way it came together. We were asked to join the tour while we were on our last tour, so not that long ago. So it was such a cool surprise, and we're so excited because Napalm Death and Drop Dead are like two of our biggest influences. And we get Drop Dead all the time here in Providence, and I don't know if like Providence and like the Boston area like know how good they have it getting to see Drop Dead all the time, because like there's such a huge influence on me. So like to get to see them in Europe, I don't know what to expect, but I think it's going to go off like crazy. So
oh yeah, Europe has a different appreciation for the heavier music than the U.S. I mean, not to shit on the U.S. crowds, but you know, especially here in Los Angeles, like there's always like a little pit, and then everybody else is just stoned out of their minds, just standing there like, oh, and you know, like that's fine, I guess, but I like a little movement, I like a little excitement, and Europe always brings it, always that, and South America too. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about South America. They just go hard.
Yeah. We had a great time the first time we went to Europe this year. So it's like we didn't think we would be coming back so soon, but it's really cool that we get to come back. And like you said, it's a totally different vibe. There's definitely places on this tour that we didn't get to on the last tour, so I can't speak to how it's going to be there. But like our first time in the UK, I've always heard they have awesome shows and venues, and geez, some of the venues we're playing are like insane, legendary. Like we're playing the Electric Ballroom in London, and like everyone has played there. So it's like really exciting. Yeah. Like we're playing the O2. Like O2 is like this huge like staple.
Isn't that an arena? Yeah.
It is, but I think they have like a venues like attached to it. So I think it's like inside in a venue. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm like,
I was gonna say, I love it, Napalm Death. I don't know if they're filling up an arena.
Yeah, right. It's like the Freddie Mercury, Barney Newman is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the WWE wrestling is what's playing at the O2. Like that's the type of shows that go on there. Okay, that's awesome though. I mean, yeah, that's. Is there a venue that is like a dream for you? Like I know a lot of people have certain spots like Red Rocks or whatever. Is there a spot for you that you dream of?
Red Rocks is cool. Love Red Rocks. That would be cool. This is funny, but we were supposed to play Gilman, and a series of events happened to where we got there super late, and we missed it. We basically couldn't play. So I would love to play Gilman. Been there, so that's cool. But I want to play Gilman. Let's see. Oh, gosh.
Oh, no. I think I lost him. Oh, there we go.
Maybe Rio is being renovated. I don't know what the status is on that, but like when ABC No Rio is ready and good to go, I'd love to play there again.
Nice.
Lots of cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, we cut our teeth in playing DIY venues, so those come and go so quickly. I guess I've just never really sat and thought about what would be my ideal venue to play at if I could, because like there's so many really cool spots that just come and go. And like out in your area, there was that spot called Perez Tires that was pretty great that we played at one point, and I just think that was like the perfect DIY venue. I think about that spot a lot, and wish that we could play there again, but it is no more.
It's a weird
stuff, you know, like all that stuff comes and goes, especially out here in the East Coast where like our real estate is like more condensed and smaller, and like if you've got a spot like CBGB's, the rest of the neighborhood is going to get gentrified, and that's not going to be CBGB's anymore. It's just it's not going to happen. So I guess like the Boston version of that right now is the Middle East. Like the Middle East venue is a part of like the area where MIT is, and there's like lots of restaurants and bars and whatnot, and so they're renovating that building. I guess they're keeping the menu aspect of it, so that's good. Yeah, I could talk forever, but
it's an odd thing too, because certain bands for me don't belong in certain venues. And as cool as it would be to, for every band to play in front of, 10,000, 18,000 people, there's just certain bands that don't fit in that environment. It's just, it's not going to be fun watching. It wouldn't be fun watching you guys from nosebleeds. You know what I mean? In a stadium. A stadium. I'd just be sitting up there like, I wish I was down there. I wish I was in the pit right now, not sitting. So
we'll have to give it the Slipknot treatment if we ever play a huge arena like that.
Man, they are on another level. Like I went to when they did Knotfest here in California, and talked to some people, and they're like, "Yeah, it's about 150 crew." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You guys are traveling around with 150 people?"
Like Slipknot pays for people's families' health insurance and shit.
That's nuts to me. I mean, awesome. That's great. I'm glad that, they can do that. I wish more bands could do that, but it's such a production. At that point, I don't know. I grew up in a frame of mind where you take care of your band. You like you said, you do the merch, you do the, the booking, all that stuff. And so being like having to let go of all of that and just showing up to perform.
Yeah.
It's got to be very relieving stress wise,
Yes and no, probably. I mean, I would assume you've all heard the stories of like, oh, the band manager stole all the money or whatever. And
yes. Yeah.
There's that kind of stuff. But also, like, I had to imagine that they feel a pressure. Like, if you're employing 150 people and you don't like your bandmates and you don't want to do this shit anymore, like, are you going to say, I'm out, I'm quitting this? Like, there's 150 people that rely on you, like, for their livelihoods. So, like, I mean, I would have a hard time being like, fuck this, I'm out. So it probably affects their decisions a lot sometimes. I wouldn't know, but.
Yeah. No, you're right. And, I think a band like Slipknot can kind of get lucky in like, if somebody does want to go, they just get another dude, put another dude in a mask or something, But for other bands like that, what's going on with Deftones, where they're just kind of like, now they're going through bass players, and it's got to feel weird. And like I heard also, and maybe maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but whatever. Korn, the guys from Korn don't, like, they each have their own room in the stadium. Like, they don't hang out.
No, that's too bad.
That's just weird.
It is, especially since you have to write music with each other. At the end of the day, you got to write with each other.
I don't know. I just don't know if I'm cut out for that. I personally would not feel great in that situation. I feel that the whole point is now lost of like creating something, a piece of art with your friends.
Yeah.
Now it's just a machine.
Sure. True. I guess that would be our perspective because we're musicians and whatnot. But as a fan, I mean, fans want to hear him play the first album for 20, 25, 30, 40. So, like, I guess I get it to an extent. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. How far do you want to go with the band? Like, how do you see you going to that point of, having this machine?
Well, I mean, like before, like, we, I mean, I never thought I could do even this that we're doing right here now. So any new thing that comes up, I'm open to it, and it's really cool. So we'll keep going as long as there's road to keep going on, if it makes sense for us as a band. But like our goal pretty much, and it's been a goal for a while now, is like, we want to be that kind of, we want to be a gateway band. You know what I mean? We want to be a band that, like, you show your little cousin and they're like, oh, I like grindcore, or I like, hardcore now. We want to be a band that is an entryway to all the cool bands that we grew up listening to, and like is welcoming enough to get you to come out to your first show. So that's what we're trying to do. I mean, not everyone vibes with that. Everyone has their own level of where they want to take this craft. But for us, that's really important to us. So we try and add all of our influences that we can. We try and make our message as clear cut and succinct and relatable as I possibly can write it, or we possibly can say it. And we try to have fun too. So it's like, you're going to learn how to mosh. You're going to learn how to talk to people in a weird setting. You're going to like screaming. You're going to like blast beats. And then maybe you're going to want to start your own band or book shows or whatever it is that you decide to do. But that's our goal. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's a very awesome goal. Like, that's the goal for me too. I mean, that's what it should be about. Inspiring people to do more.
Yeah.
So, okay, I know it's a little early. Like you said, the album came out in September. But I mean, how do you guys process when it comes to creation? Like, now that you have touring planned, I mean, is that your mindset is just tour, or are you writing stuff as you go as well too? Are you thinking about new songs for the next one?
Yeah, we're always thinking about new material. It's worked out that we got signed and we basically had the record done, recorded, album artwork was done and everything, and it was picked up by a label. So this whole process of getting it out, like for us, we've been playing and performing those songs for a while. So we've been writing new stuff for a while. So we have like a couple EPs that we have planned in the works to record. So those are one of those is written, one of those is not. And we're writing for our second LP now, just starting, our third EP, geez. So we're starting those songs now too. It has become evident that it is going to be really difficult to write while we're on tour. We tried on the last tour we were on, and we got some stuff done. But it's pretty difficult. We have a 12-passenger van with a trailer that we tour out of, and we all drive, and there isn't always a fifth person to share the driving, and after a 50-day tour you get really, really tired and you don't want to, you just want to sleep here in the van and not do anything else. So we are taking this month that we have kind of off to write as much as we can before we go out. But if anyone has tips on that, we would appreciate them.
Well,
it's hard.
It's hard. You get caught up in the post-show hang, and you're packing the van and people are hanging outside, and if somebody wants to smoke, whatever it is, and then before you know it, like, oh, we have to go and we have to get on the road, and everybody's dead, tired. So
yeah, exactly.
There's no writing happening. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know if you can. I mean, like you said, just keep trying, see if it happens. But
yeah,
I think it's best to do it when you have the time, when you're in a space where you guys get together and jam out and write. So the newer stuff, since the first full length was a bit, like you said, snippets, shorter, more grindcore, and the second one now is a little more diverse, a little more hardcore elements thrown in. Is that going to keep going? Are you going to keep evolving the sound and adding different genres to it? Or I mean, what's the when can we expect the rap album?
Well, technically, one of us already has it, several of them. So, yeah. So we're gonna keep going with like the hardcore and death metal grind thing that we're doing on the next LP. So the two EPs that we have planned are part of the series we started, where we just kind of dive into one of those genres that influences us. So we have two already. We did a power violence one and a grindcore one that we recorded ourselves, and we released those both in 2020, I think. So we have a death metal one written, and we've been playing it and whatnot. It's just we have to get in to record it. So that will be coming out. And we do play those death metal songs, and they are very fun, and we like death metal a lot. So that it has to be part of the equation. But yeah, similar length of songs. We love mosh parts. We love blast beats. We love death metal. Same influences, really. So expect more of it. For me, vocally, I'm always playing with what I'm doing vocally, because I am I have a lot of doubts in myself when it comes to that. But like, we've played so much live this year in venues where you can actually hear yourself. So I've been able to like test different things and work with different ranges. And yeah, I'm excited to experiment more vocally on these next albums.
More melodic singing, right?
I don't know. That might be a step too far for the grindcore purists.
Yeah,
They
right.
already get so.
Oh, it's too late already. You made a second album. It's over. It's over. It's never going to be as good as the first one.
There you go.
I never understood that, especially from that crowd. Like, I get wanting to keep something as a thing, I guess, but people change. The older you get, the more your tastes change, or just your feelings. Because this music comes from inside, and if you're not feeling a certain way, then it comes off fake in the music. You can feel that you're forcing it. I can hear it in other bands that mostly you hear on the radio, where they're just doing it for the for the radio play, and they're not feeling that at all. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I trailed off. I'm just saying people should be a little more open to appreciating where the band is taking them, and it's not yours. Like, don't get mad when the band decides to try something because you're not in the band.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll always have the first record, right? It'll always be there for you. You can always rely on that.
Yeah, right. Well, let me ask you, if you were to put out a split EP with somebody, who do you want that to be?
Oh, shit. That's a good question. Mm-hmm. Gosh, haven't thought about this in a while. There's so many cool new bands that have popped up since the pandemic. Oh God, that's daunting. I guess in the world that we come from, we are friends with, and we love the band Wormrot. I think we could work together and do a really interesting and different split, especially since their last record came out and like all the new stuff they're putting into their music. So I think we could do something really cool and different. And I love them, and I'm excited to see where they go and what form that band takes without Arif, who is awesome. I'm sure the next vocalist will be insane too. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see. I
mean, obviously, aside from like Napalm Death or Drop Dead, obviously
Yeah,
that would be obvious.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like newer bands that are well, Wormrot's not new or anything, but that we have played with and are really really intense. Oh, why not? We just did a tour, and I'm sure if you're familiar with us, you'll know about this band already because we posted them and whatnot. But I really love what they are doing. And Castrator, they're a all-female death metal, like old school death metal band. And whereas like it might not be like a one-to-one, we don't sound like each other per se. Like I just love what they're doing, and they're great people, and that would be fun. And I think they deserve the shout out right now. So Castrator, Relapse Records, they're badass. Check them out.
Heck yeah. All right. Dream tour. If you were to book yourself a tour aside from the one you're doing in Europe, what are 3 bands you want to go on tour with that are, obviously get some, you could put a like Castrator as like a, part of the bill, but like what big tour do you want to be on?
Sure. Okay. I mean, the tour is not going to make sense that I'm saying, but I'm just going to say all the shit that I love. That's bigger. Let's say Terrorizer. We love Terrorizer. They're awesome. It would be insane to play with Terrorizer. Yes, love that. Now we've played with this band before, and we are friends with them, but they don't go on tour ever. So if Infest went on tour, it would just it would be really different to see them and how they perform every night. And if they could keep it up every night with the level of intense shit that they bring to, just the crowd reaction is insane for that band. So to see that every night would be insane.
Did they play recently some kind of one of those festivals where they get bands together that don't usually play, like a Furnace Fest or something like that?
They do play those festivals. The novelty of their reunion has kind of worn off since they got back together 10 years ago,
Yeah.
just about now. But yeah, they played in Boston recently with a bunch of bands, like a ton of bands. So and that was awesome. We were on tour, so we weren't there, but it looked like a really badass show. I guess other than that, more locally to us, there's a Fuming Mouth. They're insane, and we really like them. They would be awesome to tour with. Let's give out two more because I could keep going. Two more. I said Fuming Mouth. Big names. They're big now. We're going to shout out Creeping Death from Texas, also a label mate of ours.
Nice.
We love them, and I think they're so exciting, and it's great to see their Texas band get big, doing what they do too. So that's exciting. One more. Big band. I gave the grindcore one. Okay, this one's not going to make sense either, but and they're starting to play shows now too again, which is great. Trapped Under Ice. I've always fucking really loved Trapped Under Ice. I tried to imitate that vocal style for a really long time. I just love that band. I don't really know much of what they're doing now. It seems like I know members are in Turnstile and stuff, and they put out something that was kind of more leaning towards that. But whatever. I love Trapped Under Ice. Just realized that I did 2 Metallica song band names in my touring.
Yeah.
But yeah, those bands don't make sense together, but I love them, and I would love to tour with all of them at one point.
Well, it makes more sense than like some other, like I've asked this question to some folks and they'll just put like, oh yeah, Bjork and Napalm Death. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. At least Creeping Death. And I could see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's that would be a cool tour. I would watch that.
I honestly answered that. I would just say Whitney Houston and Prince. Like,
oh,
I just love. I'll listen to a ton of R&B aside from grindcore, power violence, death metal, what have you. So like, if we were going to go that crazy and we could resurrect people from the dead, that would be cool. Even hologram Prince, I would play with hologram Prince.
Hologram Prince would be interesting. Oh man, yeah. It's you gotta mix it up. You know, as much as I love grindcore and heavy music and death metal and all that, like every once in a while I need to put something else on. You know, some jazz, some like you said, Prince. I don't know. So what would be? I guess is there a guilty pleasure? Even though you shouldn't be guilty of it, but is there a guilty pleasure band?
So I don't. I listen to a lot of really shitty music, so I don't have guilty pleasures. It's just what I listen to. It's like I have a lot of it. Okay. It's interesting though. Like, what would be like embarrassing me, right?
NSYNC.
Yeah. Let's look at my let's get into it. Let's see what I search for on Spotify and see if there's anything that is cringy.
After a few years, I gave up on feeling cringy about what I listen to. I don't care anymore. I judge away. Katy Perry has a great song. Whatever.
God, no! All of these are good and not cringy. Not that I would call any of these cringy. Gosh. Okay, so this is guilty. It's not a guilty pleasure. I can't plug them as a guilty pleasure because I love them so much. But they're like so not what we do that like people, if they heard me say this, they would like call it that. But that's not what it is to me. And I think they're an awesome band. So I'm going to plug them anyways because fuck that. Keonashi is a great band. We love them. We've played with them. They are doing the whole like Equal Vision, like Fall of Troy, like Scramsky, like that kind of stuff. but they're great, and they even include like clean singing, like you said, and whatnot. And it's not a lot of what I listen to. Maybe like there were older bands that I used to listen to that were like them, but they do it in today's era better, and they are so catchy and great lyrics, great people, and really good musicians. So like, whereas I don't think it's a guilty pleasure, like it might not be something that everyone watching this is into, but they should at least check it out and see for themselves if they feel the same way. So I love Keo Nashi. They're the homies.
All right. That's awesome. All right. Well, we've been going for almost an hour. That's kind of crazy.
Hi. Hey.
But yeah, I wanted to first off tell everybody that's watching and listening that you need to pick up Memory Theater. Pick up the fancy variants that you have on your Bandcamp. I'm looking at one right now. The orange or the pink. The artwork is crazy. Who did that artwork for you?
Thanks. His name is Andrew Tremblay. They go by AC Tremblay Art on Instagram, I believe, is the correct handle. But we actually met Andrew because we were asked to do this Trauma Film Festival. Our music has been in Trauma stuff, and that story of how we got linked up with Trauma is one for another time and interesting in its own right. But so we played a film festival for the Toxic Avenger, one of the anniversaries of that, and we played with the band Imperial Triumphant, and
nice.
Masks and a lot of their artwork has been done by Andrew, and we met him at that show, and he gave us a small book of his artwork and illustrations, and it really stuck with me. He's a really cool artist and has a lot of different styles of what he does, but it's truly him. So shout out Andrew, and I'm so happy with how it came out, because I just gave him like 5 reference images and like a bunch of word salad, and he came up with this really, really enticing, cool, colorful album cover. So I
love that, he put the theater aspect to it where there's curtains, but then when the stuff inside, I grew up, I'm from the 80s, but also my formative years were the 90s, and it was a lot of that color scheme, the bright orange and pink and green. Almost black light style, but not cheesy, obviously. So I love it. And so shout out to him. And so is that going to continue? You think the next one's, you're going to call him up again? Like some bands do that.
Not sure about where we're going with the next one, but you'll definitely see. I know Andrew has recently posted that like he's kind of retiring some of that art style. Like he got like really down the rabbit hole with that whole vaporwave sci-fi stuff, and like a bunch of people asked him for it, and he's like, this isn't really like what I do, so I'm gonna have to like hold back a little from that. But he loves the album artwork that he made for us, so not sure. I hope so.
Actually, you just made me think of something, and I wanted to get your thoughts, because I've had conflicting thoughts from different people, and I want to know yours. Concerning art. What do you think about this whole AI art thing that's going on? Like artists getting robbed of their stuff because it's pumped into a computer is terrible. But also, I mean, how cool is it to just punch in a few words and get a piece of art out of it? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a little weird.
Pros and cons to everything, obviously. Whenever there's something new, and I have a degree in art history, unfortunately, so I kind of have seen this happen over and over again. It's like when the camera came out, people thought it would be the end of painting, and no one would get no one would get a portrait anymore. What are these poor artists going to do? Like, obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it just evolves, it changes, and like. It's so hard to say. I think it sucks that people are getting ripped off and that artists are not being attributed correctly, and some of this stuff is being used insidiously. But I think that an artist can use those AI tools, if they're stuck, let's get some ideas, like throw some words in, see what pops out. Oh, that reminds me of this, and oh, that could be cool. Maybe I'll try this, or so there's always ways to use stuff without it being insidious and without it being manipulative of the people you're making art for or yourself as an artist. So I personally don't mind it as much as a lot of my other artist friends mind it. Although that shit is scary, that like that whole like AI photo thing that everyone was doing, which I myself did. It was so like attractive. Like pay $7 and see yourself as like anime character, like in so many ways. Like I tried it, and like what they do with your images and what they do with your face and who owns it and what they can do with that later is it's been going on for a long time now, but yeah,
I gave up on that. I mean, I am aware of it, like, you know, but I've surrendered. Like, they have everything. They have all of me. It's fine. Yeah. You know what? Target ads to me. Fine. Don't make me look for things that I need. Just shoot it in my face when I'm on the phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no, it's rough, you know. But I've seen artists like Rob Sheridan. He's done all like the Nine Inch Nails artwork. He's doing that. He's doing AI art, but like tweaking it after, you know, and that, you know, it's cool, I guess. But yeah, I wish it didn't come at the expense of original work from other artists that are not getting accredited to it. And it's happening to music too. There's a 24/7 AI generated gent YouTube channel. and okay. I'm like, I clicked on it just to be like, what? And if you would have told me, hey, that's the new whatever Periphery or the new whoever, I would have been like, oh, yeah, okay, because it sounds like music. Yeah, it's weird. It sounds like it's a band. It
works with that genre, though. I don't think it would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm naive in thinking that it wouldn't work with other genres, but like I can see it. That genre, like,
it makes sense with gent. It makes sense with gent, but I feel like you know, if this is happening now, they can get it to the point where they could do other genres and it sounds seamless. Sure. You know what I mean? It's the very this is the beginning of this. It's gonna get better, and that's when it gets really crazy. And I think that's happening to a lot of things. Like actors are selling their face, their likeness to AI so that they can just live forever. So we'll forever have John Malkovich movies. Like, I don't know. That's weird.
It is weird, but I mean, like, this is like not necessarily new for music, right? Because they have the, you know, 20 years ago or however, maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was like 30. No, it was like 20 years ago. You know, the Vocaloid stuff from Japan. Like Hatsune Miku
that was
So like someone created like a AI. I don't know if that's the right term, but you know, these Vocaloids, and you can put what you want them to say and sing, and they can sing it perfectly and however many notes and whatnot. But it was still on the artist to create the songs, but you could get from Sony the pack of their voices, and it would be the. So then, like, okay, they have the automatic AI gent channel. One of the segments of that song goes off, and people start using it in TikToks and whatnot. Well, who's going to perform it? Like,
who's getting licensing for that? Nobody.
Yeah. And then the whole AI rapper thing, and there was all the controversy, which I think was probably played up and wasn't as real as, like, you know, they're trying to get a rise out of people. So pushing certain things, but like, who's going to perform this music? Are you going to go see it live? Is it going to be like a Metalocalypse thing where you get a supergroup to play these cool songs or is it going to be like, you got a hologram, like I said before, like little anime people singing and dancing to it? Like, what does that turn into? I don't know, but I guess it could be exciting. I'm not necessarily closed off to it. But I'm not super excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, I had a moment where I thought this was it. This is the future, because we can't go outside and there are no live shows, and so this is it. Like, I'm gonna have to get used to it. Like, you know, I even bought a VR headset because I'm like, I guess I'm living in the VR world, but it's not for me. My body rejected it. VR makes me nauseous. I don't know.
Yeah, that's we got to get better at that. It's got to come a long way since the 90s, but it is not there. No matter how hard they try to push it, it is not there. You cannot be in that space for too long of a time, especially, everyone's eyes are different too. So like in order to make like a head, and now I'm getting totally off on a different tangent, but I was doing this a lot with architecture and whatnot, because you can, build your house and you can be in your house before you even build it and whatnot. Like, wow, that's so cool. And so I had some clients that like really just weren't getting the drawing. So I built it for them and I had them put on the headset, and they really could not stand to be in it for more than like a minute. So I was like, wow, I just spent those hours for you to put it on and be like, that's cool. I see it now. Boom.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so you say you say you built it. So you like, do you program it, or like how did you build it in VR?
You build it. You build a 3D model, and you can get as detailed as you want out of that. You can just build the outside. You can build the outside, inside. You could put, dishes on the table. You could do as much as you want in 3D. And then there's like third-party softwares that take it from 3D model and put it into a VR application that you can walk around and or at least look around in for them. But yeah,
I smoke too much weed. I'm too old. Look, I knew all that. I knew that was a thing, but for some reason, my brain was like, "You still do architecture with pen and paper, right? You just draw it, right, with a ruler."
Yeah.
Anyway,
some people do teach you that way. Yeah.
Well, we went off on a tangent, but it was awesome, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sitting here and talking to me for an hour. That's like more than I take for granted the fact that people give me an hour of their day with how busy people are. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, you have a great show, and it's been awesome to be on it. So we're so grateful that you included us and that people have been sending you emails about us. Like, that's really, really cool. And, an hour is nothing for what people like you do for us too. And I mean, I talk about this all the time, but like, getting on one podcast, as long as like one person hears it and is like, oh, that sounds interesting. I like their approach to this. Even if they don't like the music, like you're getting something out there. And then, there's like people like Sunny who take one video of your band and then like hundreds of thousands of people see it and you have all these new fans and whatnot. It's like what y'all do to help the musicians out is so, so important to us. So we're so happy and grateful that you exist. So thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear. People that are watching this, I already said this before, but Pick Up Memory Theater, where can they follow? Do you want people to follow your personal page or just the band?
Either or is great. Band is Escuela Grind, all one word, pretty much everywhere on every platform. There might be a few that are like Escuela-Grind, so you'll find it. Me, I'm basically on just Instagram. I'm XSatanX. That's easy to remember.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Katerina. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you in LA soon.
Yes, absolutely. Tour. Yes, at least once this year, probably 2 or 3 times. I can't say on the third one, but yeah.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll be at the next show for sure.
Oh, yeah, dude. Thank you so much.
All right, cheers. Take care.
Take it easy. See you later.